All right, I think we're good. But you have made me so welcome in all the classes. I really appreciate all the support that you've given me since I've been here. And a big thank you to Bruce. He has bent over backwards to organize this. A lot of time was spent to get everything planned so well and have everything go as well as it has been. And you too, Cindy, thank you.
It's all Bruce.
Bruce has been doing great, hasn't he? Thank you. So some of you have heard my opening, but I open every presentation with a story about my brother. I have a brother who has schizophrenia. And when he was a young man, basically late teens, it was as if someone walked up in back of him, injected him with a drug, and he became a different person. Within about a 2-week period of time, we had no idea that this was going to occur. He was doing well in school. He was just about the same age as many of you here, and he was just about ready to go to college and get started on his own and be more independent. And suddenly we were faced with someone that we couldn't even recognize. We had two choices. We could institutionalize my brother, or we could keep him at home. So of course we tried to keep him at home, but my brother's 6'9". He's really hard to handle, and we were finally forced to put him in an institution. We saw firsthand the impact of an institutional environment in a person's life. My brother was truly disabled in this institution, and I can tell you how I know that. It took them years to stabilize him in the institution before he could come back to the community. And after he was back in our home again, he had another setback. We thought we were going to have to institutionalize him again. Only this time there was a halfway house in our neighborhood with house parents, a supportive residential environment, and they were able to stabilize him within 2 weeks versus the years it takes in the institutional environment. This is the power that you have with every small design decision that you make. With every detail that you put into your projects, you create people with disabilities, or you empower people with all physical differences to do what they want to do so that they are no longer disabled. Nobody is completely broken or completely fixed. It is not those disabled people over there and all the rest of us fixed people. That isn't right. Every single one of you in this room has something different than the person sitting next to you. And there's a way that design can help you to do what you want to do. Let me give you an example. I'm going to pick on Amanda because she's sitting up front. Big mistake, Amanda. Let me have your glasses. So now I have Amanda's glasses. This is her orthopedic device, if you will, that lets her do what she wants to do, and she doesn't think of herself as a disabled person. I want you to think of architecture and interior design as a type of orthopedic device that helps people to do what they want to do so they are no longer disabled. Can you see the power that gives you? That gives you the power to injure people. It gives you the power to allow people to approach all the projects that you work on with every carpet strip that you put in, with every threshold that you specify, with every door that you plan. You are either disabling people or you are allowing people to do what they want to do so that they are no longer disabled. The second point that I want to make is that you have the creative skills to visually integrate the technology that we're going to talk about today. And that's what I've tried to do in my house, is show you how you can integrate universal design so that it doesn't become a stigma of age or disability. These emblems of age and disability advertise our physical differences. It's not okay to put people with disabilities up a ramp while everybody else goes in the front door. That's not universal design. It's not okay to use products that stigmatize. We lived in a small ranching town down in southern Colorado, and the church there wanted to put a lift to get basically their congregation that was having trouble with the stairs up into the sanctuary. Well, it was mostly older people that were having trouble with these stairs. And if you think they're going to get on this lift and then be, sort of made a spectacle of in front of the whole congregation, I mean, they're not going to use this thing. They continue to drag themselves up by the handrails rather than deal with this stigmatizing product. A platform lift is not universal design. So what we need to do is think of ways to do one design that works for all people, and that's universal design. And my big challenge today is to try to get you to design all your projects, every class project, every project that you do after you leave universally. The third reason that you should do this is that this is an enormous opportunity to make a contribution. This is a chance to make a real difference with the design work that you're doing. I started out in high-end residential interior design, making rich people look richer. That isn't what I'm supposed to be doing in residential interior design. It's supposed to be about improving the quality of people's lives no matter how much money they have, but it's not what I was doing. What I was doing was putting status symbols in people's homes, and I thought somehow I would find eternal satisfaction by doing that, and it didn't quite work out that way. So then I switched to contract, and I did have a little bit more success there. I built it up until I had about a 12-person business, which is a good-sized small business, and promptly spent all my time beating the bushes for work, trying to keep these 12 little mouths fed, and sort of graduated out of my area of expertise until I got to the point where I really disliked interior design. I did not want to be in this field anymore, but you know, I had 12 employees, so I hung on for the employees, hung on until finally I just hit a wall. And this was in my late 20s, early 30s. I just couldn't do this anymore. I walked away from a thriving business, fired all 12 employees, something I'm not proud of to this day, and ended up going on this search for purpose. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? Didn't have children. My family wasn't going to be the way that I made my contribution. I needed to figure out a way to make a contribution. I started playing tennis furiously that summer, hitting the heck out of this little yellow tennis ball. And one of the employees that I fired invited me into a Bible study. Now, I'm not trying to impose my value system on you here, so don't panic. But basically, this issue is a spiritual issue. This issue of purpose and mission is something that you're not going to figure out by jumping from job to job or going from major to major at the university, hoping that you land in something that will really help you. This is a spiritual issue, and it took some spiritual work for me to figure out what I wanted to do. I came out of that 3-month study with a very focused mission, and that was to improve the lives of older and disabled people with interior design. Now, you know, it's real easy to get on a mission and to think that that's what you want to do. The real test is whether you stay on that mission, and I've stayed on that mission for 35 years. Simple reason: I love what I do. I've loved every minute of it, and that's what I want for you. I want you to love what you do. If you have an interest in pursuing that issue of purpose, I'd be happy to work with you on it. I have cards in the front, and you can email me. We do Skyping, and I do some work with students trying to help them focus on purpose. But what I'm here to tell you is that if you design all your projects universally, put as many elements as you can in, you're going to be making a very, very important contribution just by simply doing that. That's all it takes. You're going to create a body of work that will continue to empower for decades. You're not building 5-10-year buildings here. You're building buildings that will either disable for decades or empower for decades. When you're my age, I'm 65, and when you are my age and you're looking back at your body of work, I want you to realize that you added a real design legacy, that you created this design legacy, this body of work that may continue empowering people well after you're gone. Wouldn't that be fantastic just to know that? That's the real reason to do this. I don't want you to specialize in universal design. I don't want you to make a big deal about it. I simply want you to put it in your projects, just as you do sustainable design. Work it in as best you can. You're not going to be able to do everything that I teach you today on every project. It's sort of like a menu, but I want you to be able to look through this and select as much as you can and put it in your project. That's why I'm volunteering this time. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to get you to make a commitment to do that from now on, and I'll do anything I can to help you with that commitment. So if you have problems with products or research or have questions, grab one of my cards and feel free to email me and let me know what I can do to help you move forward with that commitment. So with that, let's start on the slides of my house. I'm going to take you on a tour of my universal home. I want to tell you a little story about it first. I went through unbelievable amounts of problems trying to get this home done. 10 years of living with contractors, hiding out in one bedroom where they weren't allowed to come in, you know? So that was my only place of respite. I spent my entire inheritance on this project. Now, that doesn't mean universal design has to be expensive. In fact, there are over 200 items that I've installed in my home, and about half of them cost less than $50. So, you know, definitely doesn't have to be expensive, and the rest of the things can be done at any price point. For example, I have a magnetic induction cooktop. I got it because it was donated to me, but it's a $2,600 cooktop, you know, super expensive. I just found a new magnetic induction cooktop. It's a standalone unit that sits on the counter that came out for $100 just recently. So these prices on these products are all over the map, and it just kind of depends on what you want to spend. But at any rate, I spent a lot and tried to get this exactly right. My goal was to attract photographers. That's why I did all this lighting. Look at how every beam in that house is individually lighted, because I wanted to attract journalists and photographers to write articles about universal design and educate consumers about universal design. The New York Times picked up on this, put it on the cover of the New York Times, and when that came out, the next day I had 250,000 hits on my website in one day, believe it or not. So at least 250,000 consumers have read about universal design. Then it got picked up by the International Herald Tribune and the Bund in China and Perspective magazine in Hong Kong. It's been all over the world, and I'm sure that millions of people have read about universal design because of this one project. It's kind of interesting. If you do a really good job aesthetically with universal design, I guarantee that you'll get published. Why? Journalists love writing about this, and they can never find a decent image to go with their stories. It's like the easiest thing in the world to get published in universal design. So this is just a little clue. They never can find decent looking universal design. So anyway, it was a great way to get the word out. So I tried to put together some project goals. The first is that I wanted the house to be healthy and proactive. Meaning I want the house to motivate you to a lifestyle that leads to health and longevity. Not just accommodate problems after they occur, but get you right now exercising, doing healthy cooking, living a lifestyle that will promote health and longevity. How can a house do that? I'll be giving you some ideas on that. Secondly, I wanted to make it visitable by guests with disabilities. It was an existing house. There were several levels. So what I'm trying to do is keep all the main living areas on one level and then use the other levels for things that are sort of incidental, like the formal dining room and the formal entry. When there's another entry that works well, you know, that's a totally accessible entry. I have several accessible bathrooms, several accessible bedrooms, the kitchen, living room, breakfast bar, all of this is accessible or adaptable. That's another point. We're tall. You know, I'm 6 feet, my husband's 6'3". Trying to make everything accessible is not going to work for us. So we want to make it adaptable so that if we end up in a chair, we can easily move things down to the level that we want, or we could sell the house to a shorter person, a wheelchair user, and it could be easily adapted. That's the game plan. So adaptable to the needs of tall and short users, older people, children, those with low vision, reduced mobility, low hearing, even people requiring a caregiver or assistant can use this project. That was really important to me because I'm staying in this house for life. I've been telling people they're going to pry my front door keys out of my cold, dead hands. You know, they're not putting me in the home no matter what. So that was the whole idea with this thing. Regenerative, restoring you when the inevitable occurs. You're all going to have problems in your life, I guarantee it. So I'm into this project, just about finished with it, and I go to the doctor, and the doctor tells me I need a hip replacement. Me, you know, I'm in my 50s. I couldn't believe it. I've been playing tournament tennis for 10 years, every single day, 50 tournaments a year, and I just wore my hip out. So I ended up needing a hip replacement. I'm in the hospital having the hip replaced, and my husband falls on the racquetball court and tears his Achilles tendon. So he's on one of these scooter things, you know, that thing where you put your knee down and you scoot along, and I'm coming out of the hospital on a walker, and the doctor's saying to me, he's saying, You don't have anyone at home to help you. You're going to the nursing home. They tried to put me in the home about 5 years ago. And I said, oh no, you haven't seen my home. My home will allow me to totally regenerate because I have an exercise room where I can do all my rehab. I don't have an 1/8 of an inch change of elevation anywhere in the house. My area rugs are recessed. My thresholds are gone. I've got, the garage flows right into the kitchen. The driveway flows right into the garage. The sidewalk flows right into the front entrance. You can go through the whole house with no changes of elevation, which worked great with my walker. I had grab bars that helped me get on and off the toilet. I had my bed elevated so it was easy for me to get in and out of bed. The house just totally supported me. So 3 months after I had that hip replacement, I went on a multi-sport trip to Alaska where I did biking, 50 miles of biking a day, hiking, sea kayaking, river rafting, and my husband went with me, and we were both able to heal in our house. So it's a great advertisement for regeneration, which is what I think one of the main goals should be. And finally, I wanted it to be both green and universal. There's a nice intersection between green design and universal design, and that's around energy. As we get older, we may need ambient temperatures as high as 78 degrees. Do you want to turn your thermostats up to 78 degrees? I don't think so. So we have individual HVAC where you can turn each room up more if you want to. But we also have passive solar greenhouses across the whole front of the house. These things work like a charm. I'm a big advocate of passive solar. Of course, I live in Colorado. I've got over 300 days of sunshine a year. That isn't true everywhere, but it works really well for us. And then we have hot water active solar panels that run hot water through the floor. They run it through the hot tub. They preheat the hot tub. They preheat the water heater, and this saves a lot of energy. And that's another nice intersection. Older people love to save. So anytime you can save, it's going to be appealing to older people. So older people are happy to recycle, especially when they can get money for the aluminum. They like to compost. All this stuff works really well. So there's some nice overlap there. My priority was universal design, but I put in as much green design as I possibly could in the house. So this shows the active and passive solar panels. These passive solar greenhouses, and I've got 4 of them, 2 are shown here and 2 are on the other side, are the answer. I'm telling you, try it out. It works great. The hot water solar is okay. I'm actually thinking of replacing half of these panels with PV and getting an electric car and going that route. So I'm kind of experimenting with that. I don't really think we save that much energy with the hot water solar. It's sort of old technology anyway, the way it's set up. So there's that. But, we're in the Colorado mountains at 7,500 feet. We get massive amounts of snow. This is like a 4-foot drop. So we had to have really high R values on our insulation. We've used E-glass to hold the heat in. We have, of course, thermal pane glass everywhere. We've had the whole house pressure tested, infrared tested. We've patched up all the leaks. Everything is as tight as we can possibly get it. So we're doing our best not only to generate heat, but also to conserve the heat that we have. This is our living room, and I tried to put a wall of glass in every room. We have great views out of the house, and I wanted to capture that daylight. Daylight is healing. There's something about natural light that is really healing, and it's great to have lots of daylight. And of course, you're saving energy if you can use daylight instead of generating your own light. I also used a lot of biodegradable materials. So this is wool carpet, this is grass cloth, which is biodegradable. I have leather, I have wood. I have very little plastic in the house. Now, some plastics are recyclable, so not all plastic is bad. I just don't like plastic. I like things natural, so I have a lot of natural products in the house. Our counters in the kitchen are made of 30% recycled material, and they're fabricated within 100 miles of the property. The wood around the perimeter is Santos. It's a wood that's now used as a substitute for rosewood. It grows prolifically in Central America. A lot of the manufacturers that use rosewood have switched to Santos now, so you get the look of rosewood without the environmental damage, is what it comes down to. All of our wood in the house is FSC certified. We've tried to use do as much as we can environmentally as possible. This is what the kitchen looked like before. My cousin Kathleen came up and looked at this and she said, "Oh, that looks so retro." That was the nicest thing she could say about it, you know. I'm thinking, yeah, lady, just what I need to hear. So, but if you look at it, this is the counter that we were looking at before, and this wall is gone. It used to have a door out to the deck. So we got rid of all of this and then took the kitchen back from there, and here's what it looks like after. And you can see this is the actual line where the wall used to be, and we just expand the kitchen back in this direction. I'll show you the layout and point out a few things in the kitchen here in just a minute. So the first way that you can make your project support health and longevity is to make it fun to stay healthy. I'll tell you, my brother gave me a hint on this. My brother lets me tell stories about him, bless his heart, but for many years we had trouble getting him to bathe. The reason was he's on mega doses of psychotropic drugs, and every movement is like operating in a vat of molasses. His metabolism, is so slowed down. Can you imagine what that feels like? And then you put someone 6'9" in a small shower without accessible controls, and you've got a major problem. So no motivation to get in there, plus a lot of problems with his size. So I bought him a membership to a health club. I thought with a big open shower that would be easier for him. Still couldn't get him to bathe until he discovered the hot tub. And they wouldn't let him go in the hot tub till he took a shower, and the whole problem went away because he had that motivation. It made a healthy behavior fun, you know. So I thought, this is kind of a clue. How can we start designing to make healthy behaviors fun? That was a design element that made a healthy behavior fun. So what I did is I put our exercise room in the most beautiful part of the house instead of the basement. I put a hot tub in there to reward us if we exercise. I put in all of these appliances for fun cooking. I put in greenhouses where we can grow our own fruits and vegetables. You eat more fruits and vegetables if you grow fruits and vegetables yourself. I put a big fruit bowl on the counter that we keep filled with fruit, and I put a faucet right above it so that we can wash the fruit. The fruit bowl is actually a sink. It's one of those vessel sinks. Have you seen those that look like a bowl? It's all plumbed. So there are lots of little things that I did to trick us into a healthy lifestyle, you know. And that's how you use a house to help you move into health and longevity. You make it fun to stay healthy. So here are a few of the things. This is a magnetic induction wok. I'll tell you more about that. Magnetic induction cooks without heat. The cooktop stays ice cold while you're cooking. So I'll have to tell you about that as we go through. This refrigerator over here has a drawer. It's called dual refrigeration. The drawer is at a different temperature. So you push buttons on this drawer, and if you push the vegetable button, it'll keep your veggies fresh for 2 to 3 weeks. It really makes a big difference. Then I have over here a steam oven. I don't know if any of you have ever cooked with steam, but if you like those European breads with the real crunchy crust, you know what I'm talking about? The only way you can get that is a steam oven. What I like to do is to take some phyllo dough and put some salmon in it and maybe a little feta cheese, and I know you're all hungry. This is not nice, I get that. And then roll the thing up, put a little butter in there. I'm not totally healthy, okay? So roll the thing up, stick it in the oven, you put a thermostat or a thermometer in it, and it tells you when the salmon is perfectly cooked. Then you release the steam and you brown the phyllo dough perfectly. So you've cooked the salmon, you've steamed the salmon, and it's really moist, and then you have the brown crunchy crust. It's really good. There are lots of fun things you can do with a steam oven. And then as you go around the corner, this is the cleanup area back here, by the way. So the shot I took before, you were sitting over here in front of the counter. You couldn't see any of the cleanup area. So all the dirty, nasty stuff gets put over here, you know. I'd love to train my husband to clean everything as he goes. Forget that plan. We've been married 45 years. He says I view the institution of marriage as a reform school. You know, that's his line. But I don't really think that I'm there yet on reforming him. So I gave that up and said, okay, we're just going to hide all the dirty stuff over here, and that seems to work. And then this is an in-counter steamer. It's like a cooking sink. So you can boil pasta in it, you can make yogurt in it because you can set it at any setting that you want, or you can use it as a double boiler and then put a pot above it and use it as a slow cooker like a crock pot, or you could put racks in and you can use it as a steamer and steam vegetables and fish again. And it's actually Gwyneth Paltrow's favorite appliance. I thought you might, well, never mind.
Thank you.
Yes, I knew that somebody would appreciate that. Somebody likes her, yeah. She stays in good shape, and she's a healthy eater. So I know she is. I agree with you. No one ever agrees with me, though. They all treat me like, oh, the crazy woman is talking about that Gwyneth Paltrow again. So. Yeah, I know. We'll be out of the kitchen soon. You'll live it. You'll be all right. I swear you'll survive it. All right, so this is what this in-sink cooker looks like. It's kind of cool looking. And then I'm having a cutting board made that fits all the way across this. So then we can use this as the prep sink, you know, and just put scraps down on either side. I don't need a disposal because I have a small composter, saying that wrong, underneath the sink. And I just add things to the small composter. Then I take them out to our big composter, which is in the garage. Sounds like a good plan. Bugs are the problem. I can't keep these stupid fruit flies out of that little composter. I have tried everything. I've had like this war with fruit flies going on for several years now. The last thing I tried was this dish that's filled with cider vinegar, water, and then a drop of soap in it. I got that off the internet. Well, they're okay with that, but they're multiplying faster than they're dying. So I'm sort of in a losing battle with these things now. I have herbs growing along the back here, so I can snip things and, you know, cook using the herbs as I go. And this is the Induction Cooktop. It's really interesting. You can have this thing sizzling, and it cooks faster than any other cooking method. It uses less energy than any other cooking method, and it instantly stops. So if something's burning, you turn it off, it stops burning just like that. There isn't that residual burning that goes on. A little bit because the pan gets hot, but not very much of it. So while this is sizzling, I can actually stick my hand completely underneath this pan, and the cooktop stays ice cold. It stays so cold that I can put newspapers down and cook through the newspapers, so there's never any cleanup. You know, like if you're doing pasta sauce and it's spattering all over, or something's frying, and when you stir fry, you get oil around the edges. You know, it's really nice to have that. So it actually is really interesting technology, and it's not that expensive anymore. I've seen the whole setup, the whole range, for about $600 now. That's the least expensive one I've seen. That standalone one that I told you is around $100. It sits on the countertop, but if you want one built in, it's going to run probably about $600. So it's really cool technology. It turns out the best chefs are using this technology because they can control the heat more easily. It's because they produce better results. But I did it because if an older person comes over and leans on the cooktop, it's ice cold, you know, or a family member or a child puts their hand up there, it's ice cold. It's very, very safe. This is the refrigerator I told you about. This is the drawer that is at a different temperature, and those are the three little buttons that you would push to, for I think it's poultry, fish, and vegetables. They're all different temperatures. A few other things. Look at how well this is backlighted, so you can clearly see the food. As we get older, 70% of older people lose their sense of smell totally. And they can't tell if food is going bad in the refrigerator. So it's better to have a lot of lighting where you can see the food, and also shallow shelves so you can see it more clearly. The shelves are all adjustable. This one is electrically adjustable that goes up and down with heavy things. I actually don't even know why they did that. I've never used it, but it's there. This is Gagnon. It's a very expensive product line. But the point I want to make is the best, most expensive, most exotic product lines are inherently universal. Why is that? Because they've spent a lot of time thinking about how to design this product. They want to make it work for as many people as possible, and it makes the point that good design is universal design. If you really think it through, you end up with universal design. And that's what they've done. Look at this handle. Tall people, kids, wheelchair users, people of all sizes and abilities can use it. They've just thought this out. They have it down to the stainless steel is sprayed with glass beads, so it has tiny little dents that you can barely see so that it hides fingerprints, you know. There's just all sorts of detail that they put into this product, which is really cool. That's my hubby, and he's, it looks like he's filling the fountain, but he's actually watering some of the plants. Here's some peppers that we're growing. So we try to grow. What are you laughing about?
It really does look like it's watering the rock.
All right. Yeah, it does. I didn't think it was that funny, but that's all right. So anyway, if you grow your own foods, you're going to be more inclined to eat fruits and vegetables. This is my exercise room in the most beautiful part of the house with the flowers, and I've got bicycles, and I've got a elliptical machine and a weight bench and all my weights in there. I do about 20 minutes of wind sprints every morning just to get my heart started basically and to get my metabolism going first thing in the morning. And then after work I either play tennis, weight lift, bike, hike. We do tons of exercise. We go on exercise vacations. We've biked through many countries in the world. It's really been a great addition to our marriage to be able to exercise together. So that's my exercise bike, and this ledge up here is where the hot tub's located. I don't have a shot of the hot tub, but that rewards you if you do your exercise. You ready to move into my house yet?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I thought so. I'm trying to sell you on how wonderful universal design is. That's what this is all about. That's why I did the house. I'm going to start emphasizing some of the things that aren't too expensive though, so that you don't get the idea that it's, you know, it's just for people that want to spend a lot of money on their houses, because you don't have to do that. All right, so next, visitable and adaptable to future needs. First is an accessible entrance on an accessible route through all the common areas. So our accessible entrance has an area rug in it, which is really a problem for a lot of people, because an area rug not only is a problem for wheelchair users. When they run into it, the rug will bunch up in front of them. If you're in a power chair, it can suck up the area rug and get stuck in the power chair. If you're an older person shuffling along, not picking up your feet, you can catch a toe on that area rug, go down on this tile floor, and you're done. So why did I put an area rug in? I mean, you break a hip, you end up in a nursing home, you're done, you know. It's true. It could be the end. It's not that funny again. All right, no, I'm kidding. I seem to want to fight with the audience today. I don't know what this is about, but anyway. So what did we do? We recessed the area rug. We simply left the tile out in this section and just put the area rug in. Simple solution. It's not permanently installed. It's not with tack strips. There's nothing special about it. It's sitting right on the concrete subfloor. All we do to clean it is lift it up, roll it up, and take it to the cleaner, or even have the steam cleaner come in and do it, you know. There's no tripping hazard there at all, and nobody ever notices it. They all think it's just a regular area rug. It doesn't look weird at all. We do have a barbecue back in this entrance, so we can barbecue or grill, which is healthy cooking, basically, sort of healthy. I mean, there's some stuff about, it's not charcoal, but the burn stuff is, I don't know. That's Adele Davis. I'm not sure I buy that, causing cancer, but that's the only downside. But it's a good way to get rid of a lot of fat, that's for sure, with the grilling. This is our formal dining room, and this is in a part of the house that isn't used very much, but I figured out a way to get wheelchair users down in here so that when we can entertain wheelchair users, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. A few points I'd like to make about this. This floor is finished in something called Pol-Oil, which is a combination of polyurethane and oil. It's a European product that you don't see very much in the United States. Very slip-resistant floor finish. Another good floor finish is Bona Traffic Anti-Slip. That one we've used quite a bit too, and that works really to help you prevent slip and fall pretty well. You have to analyze these products wet and dry though, because I have a wood floor in my bathroom that is Pol-Oil and it works great. So I'm not sure how Bona Traffic works wet. I know Pol-Oil works well wet. You might know that. Do you know if it works?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
Manufacturer standards will tell you that.
Yeah, that you can't believe them though. They have those coefficient of friction ratings, you know. Those things are lousy ratings. They measure how much you stick, not how much you slip. And I mean, you could put flypaper down on this thing and it would have a giant CFR rating and you would stick like crazy and you wouldn't be able to walk across it, you know. So you have to both slip and stick. And they need a new rating to measure that.
And you have to maintain it the way they say you have to.
That's exactly right. As soon as you put a shiny wax on or something, you're done, you know. It's just simply slippery again. But wouldn't you like to have dinner with me in this room?
Absolutely.
Some of the hardwoods, they're not slippery until you put water on them.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Bruce has had dinner with me, and Bruce made dinner for me in this room. And when Bruce was at our fellowship training program, we did all our slides up on this, and everyone sat around this, and we used it as a conference table, so we did all the training there. What I do is I bring in professors. I'm trying to get one professor from every college who can sort of be the champion of universal design. And I've got 25 of them going now, either have been or signed up, 25 different colleges right now. And I bring them up to the ranch. I wine and dine them for the whole week. I occasionally make them cook, but most of the time they get wined and dined. We do training in the morning, and then we have fun times in the afternoon and go hiking. We live 2 valleys over from Rocky Mountain National Park. We're on the Wyoming border, so we can go up to Wyoming and hike up there. We have unbelievable biking. Someone just caught a fish out of our pond in the front of our house that's as long as my arm. They caught a German brown that long so you guys got to come visit me. In fact, you have an open invitation. If you want to come and tour my house and you're coming to Colorado, just let me know. I do house tours free of charge every month, so you're more than happy to go through and see what it looks like. So let me know if you come to Colorado. We're about 2 hours from Denver International Airport, about 40 minutes from Fort Collins, if you know where that is. So anyway. Here's how we get wheelchair users down into the dining room. This stair is like a box, and it's removable. It's on glides, so you just pick it up and walk off with it. And then I put in a special purpose outlet up here so that I can rent a platform lift, push it up here, and bring a guest down into the dining room for a formal dinner. That's the game plan. And you know, if I have a wheelchair user that wants to be in our fellowship program, then I'll just rent a lift for the week, you know, and then they can come and join us as well. Every stair that I could that isn't movable, every stair that I could, I put a light in the stair. Here's what the entrance stairs look like. I've already had one guest tell me that prevented a fall because they were able to see that contrast so easily. Very inexpensive thing to do. That's just a little rope light. It's probably like a $10 item. They're not expensive. It's also inexpensive to do extensions top and bottom on your handrails. Now you can't do an extension when the handrail comes like this or you'd be out into the traffic area, but you can do it on this side. And that gives a person a chance to kind of hang on when they take the bottom step, you know, and stabilize before they move. And that's the same on the top step. This floor is called quartzite. This is one of the things, I've done many things over in this house. Some of them I've done over 5 and 6 times because I totally got it wrong. And I got this one wrong. I put cork in. Now cork is a great product environmentally. It's comfortable to stand on. It's non-slip. You know, it sounds great on paper, but I had this aniline dye put on it, which isn't supposed to make it slippery, and it turned it into an ice skating rink. It's like they painted it with glossy paint, you know? So I had to rip the whole thing out and start over. I found this product called quartzite. You can literally pour water on this, and I can jump on it with my cowboy boots, and I will not slip. It is really, really slip resistant. The disadvantage, though, is it absorbs oil. So if you spill oil on it, you've got to get it up pretty fast, or you're going to have to put some baking soda and some 409 and let it sit for a little while to get it up. It's not a big deal, but you know, you do spill some oil in the kitchen, so it's just something you need to know going in. Most of these things have a trade-off. You know, grass cloth is high maintenance, leather can be high maintenance. What I'm saying is that you're not going to get a perfect house. Universal design is perfect design. It doesn't, nothing's totally universal, and I've traded off maintenance for some luxury items, and I've traded off some maintenance for slip resistance and, you know, so forth as you go through. So next item would be usable doors. What I mean by a usable door is enough room to the side for a wheelchair user to be able to come forward and pull the door open without it hitting the wheelchair. It says 18 to 24. I'd go 24. 18 isn't enough. So go 24. So this section right here should be 24 inches. You see what I'm saying? All right. If you can't do that, like I had this one hallway with a door at the end of the hallway and there was no space to the side, you can always put in an electric door closer. We have door closers now for a couple $300. They don't have to be expensive. And that way, this door closer comes with a push button that's that doesn't have a plug, what am I trying to say, a wireless push button. And so I can give that to a wheelchair user and they can use it anywhere they want to and carry it with them when they're in the house. I have it hanging on a little hook outside the doorway so that when I come in with my hands full, I can just kind of lean on it and get it open myself. So it's actually really handy for me. A lot of things in universal design are really handy on a day-to-day basis. For example, if you have your hands full, are you going to be able to open a doorknob? I don't think so, but with a lever, you can kind of operate it with your elbow. It helps people that are pregnant. You know, there are just a lot of reasons that it works for all of us. These thresholds are not a problem for wheelchair users. If they're ADA compliant, you can do a 1 and 2 slope on it, a ½ inch height. Works great for a wheelchair user, but you got an older person, again, shuffling their feet, not picking it up. They catch a toe on that threshold. My Aunt Minna had stepped over the same threshold her entire life until she was in her 80s, and one time she didn't pick up her foot. She caught her toe, she went down, she broke her femur right here, and ended up in a nursing home. She's a physical therapist, and she fought like a dog to come back, and she was able to come back into the home, but it was a major problem. It's just these little things that really get you. Eliminate all thresholds. There's no reason for a threshold. Here's what you do. You buy something called a door bottom. What you do is you cut off the bottom of your door, you put this door bottom on, it has a little push button on the side. When you close the door bottom drops down and seals totally. When you open the door, the button pushes in and the thing pops back up again. So that the seal doesn't drag along the floor. You know, it's actually recessing up. Very inexpensive item, less than $50. You can get it from any door supplier, and people just put these thresholds in, which I think is really pretty dumb. Now this was kind of a luxury item. I put it in because somebody gave it to me. I get given a lot of stuff for some reason. And this is a video doorbell. And it sounds like a big time waste of money, big luxury item, but there's some pluses to it. You get out of the shower, someone's ringing the doorbell, you can see who it is, and then push the intercom and say, come on in, have a seat, I'll be out with you in a few minutes. So it's kind of handy. But if you're a wheelchair user and you can't get down to the formal entry, which is true in our house, now you have control. Or if you're bedridden, now you have control. So those are real pluses. Another real plus to this is it takes a picture of everyone that comes to the front door. So you have a record of some crook who's coming in, ringing the doorbell to see if anybody's home. No one's home, so they break in and start stealing your stuff. You've got a picture of that person, you know. It's kind of a neat security feature. You can also control the lock, so you can unlock or lock it remotely. We didn't pay for that feature, but you can put that in. So the next thing is light switches, electrical outlets, thermostats. In other words, all your other controls in accessible locations. So let me show you a few. This is a redundantly queued switch. Redundant queuing means you give the signal, the cue, in more than one way. So this says it's on by lighting up. It tells you it's on. It tells you it's on because you hear it click as you turn it on. It tells you it's on because you can see the numbers. So you're appealing to your ears, to your eyes, and to your sense of touch, you know, for the clicking. You're appealing to more than one sense. So if you can redundantly appeal to a lot of senses, you're going to get your message across. It makes it a lot easier for people who have reduced reaction time, reduced coordination, low vision. You know, they're going to be able to use one sense and not another one. Do you see what I mean? Okay. This is what we use to control the induction cooktop. And it also has a child safety component, so you have to push it in before you turn it. You can do it with a closed fist, which is what you want to do on your controls. Analyze them with a closed fist. If you can control something either with a closed fist or a draped hand, it's going to be usable by lots of people. This you can do by pushing in with a closed fist, and you can still turn it. It does not require tight grasping, pinching, or twisting, which is ADA language, which is something you want to avoid. Look at this little tiny switch, or this little control down here in the corner. Can you see that down there? What do you think that controls?
Garbage disposal?
You'll never get it. Nope, we don't have a garbage. We compost.
Water temperature?
Nope. It controls the drains in the sink. So if I'm soaking something and I want to open the drain, I don't have to reach down through all the knives and goo and all that. All I have to do is turn the switch. Or if I'm a child and I can't reach the drain and it's overflowing, you know, I just turn the switch. Or if I'm a wheelchair user visiting and I can't reach the drain, I turn the switch. And this is less than $50 again. That's what it looks like. The switch accesses each of the drains and simply opens and closes the drains as you turn it. Very simple.
Is it electric?
It's not electric. It's just manual. When you turn the switch, it pushes the drain up or down again. Our dishwasher has the programming information on the leading edge of the door. So I can see it easily when I'm standing. I don't have to look down here and try to look at the front of the door to see it. A wheelchair user can see it easily because it'll come down to their level. Even a shorter person can see it easily. All of this detailing is what makes products accessible and usable by lots and lots of people. We have drawers that pull out, we have things that pop up, we have things that pull down. This is what I like about Universal Design, are all the gadgets. We have tons of gadgets. Now, best to use as low-tech approach as you can. Keep things simple, because people with disabilities depend on these things, and when they don't work, they really get stuck. So the simplest solution that you can do. I have a friend who's quadriplegic who designed a smart house for himself, and every time it would rain, the windows would close, and it was all done automatically. So he's in the house, and the house gets hit by lightning. He can't even get out of the house. He can't call because his phone is electric, you know. He can't email. He can't do anything. Everything is fried. And it just goes to the point that if you keep things simple and don't do too high a tech, you can back off of it when you get into trouble. I have switches on almost all my lamps, and I love this. At night, rather than having to fiddle with that little thing, I just whack that switch and the lamp is off, you know. It makes it really easy. I have a friend, Patty Moore, who was sort of one of the leaders in Universal Design, and she said her father burst into tears when they put this switch on his lamp. It made that big a difference to him. He'd been calling for help to turn that lamp on and off for years, and now he could do it himself. This costs less than $5. It's a very inexpensive item, and I have it on most of our lamps. This thermostat is an interesting problem. You can't lower the thermostat to a height where a wheelchair user can use it, like take it down to 4 feet, because it's calibrated to measure at 5 feet, you know. So what are you going to do? Well, this is operable by my laptop. There's some real advantages to that. If I'm flying over at 10,000 feet and forgot to turn my heat down on my vacation and I have internet access, I can actually control my thermostat from distance like that. Another advantage is if you have reduced circulation, some people will pass out if they get into an environment that's too hot or too cold. So they have to heat their house up before they come home or cool it down before they come home. You can do it all on your laptop. And of course the thermostat's a good environmental feature because it can be programmed to turn on and off at various times of the day with different levels, and you know, so it's a really nice thing. But if you're bedridden and you want to use your thermostat, now you can do it by your laptop. If you're a wheelchair user and you can't reach the thermostat, you can do it with your laptop. So it has some advantages to it. It's not horribly expensive. It's not real cheap, but not horrible. This is my control for the shower, and it has lots of fun features. For one thing, I push a button and the shower comes on at exactly the right temperature that I have preset. Now that's a convenience, you know, it's a nice luxury because you don't have to deal with hot and cold water and resetting it all the time. But it becomes a necessity, again, if you have circulation limits, because you can be burned by lower temperatures. Someone who's paralyzed from the waist down, someone who has diabetes and has lost circulation in their arms, say, they can actually be burned by lower temperatures because they don't have the blood flow to carry the heat away from the source of the wound. They also don't have the blood flow to get to the wound and heal it. So it takes them much longer to heal after they have a burn. It could be months, and you might heal up in a week or two. So it's very important that you control temperature. This not only controls it before you stick your hand in to see if it's too hot or cold, but it also has a surge control, a pressure reducing mix valve that keeps those surges of hot water from burning you, which is another thing that you want to do. It allows me to set it for different users. So if my husband wants the shower to turn on at a different temperature than I do, we hit the number 2 button and it turns on the temperature that he wants, you know. It's kind of cool. A lot of little detail like towel hooks that you can operate with one hand. It doesn't take 2 hands to thread through, makes it really easy just to drape it over. Next, adaptable kitchens and bathrooms. Now, I didn't say totally accessible because, again, my husband and I are so tall, we don't want all our counters down to an accessible level. Adaptable. The number one thing is reinforced walls for grab bars. If you remember nothing else from this lecture, I want you to put 3/4 inch plywood floor to ceiling around every bathroom that you remodel, around every kitchen that you remodel. In the kitchen, you want to wall mount your cabinets on this 3/4 inch plywood so that you can take them down at different levels in the future. In the bathroom, you want that 3/4 inch plywood to hold your towel bars, your toilet paper holder, anything that a person might grab when they go down. It's now permanently installed. It makes a lot of sense. If you just do the blocking at the 33 to 36 height for grab bars, you can't put a shower chair in the future. You know, there are lots of things you can't put vertical grab bars in the future. If you put the 3/4 inch plywood floor to ceiling, you can add the vertical grab bar over the toilet for the man who wants to stand there and hang on when he goes to the bathroom. You can add the vertical grab bar in the shower, which I use all the time. If you drop your soap, it's really nice to have something to hang on to. You know how you feel like you might slip when you go down to get your soap, you know? It's just nice to have something to hang on to. So you can put grab bars anywhere you want if you do that 3/4 inch plywood. I feel like a fast-talking carpet salesman or something today. I'm going to sell you that 3/4 inch plywood. They should put me on television, right, and have me pushing products. All right, this is my favorite bath. We have the pall oil that I mentioned before on the wood floor. I have the area rug recessed so there's no bath mat that's a tripping hazard. I have a great seat in here. This is a steam shower. It is so cool. After I fly back from this trip, I'm going to be all dried out from the airplane and I'm going to jump in that steam shower and take a nice steam. Does that sound good? Has a nice wood floor that is very slip resistant, much better than tile for slip. Well, not all tile. There's some tile you can use, like if you want to use an unglazed ceramic mosaic tile, that works really well. But this is very slip resistant. Nice vertical grab bar that I can hang on to. I can put my leg up here and shave my legs. If I want to sit down and steam, I can do that. And in the future, I can put a handheld shower in here, use that grab bar to support it. You can just clamp it on the grab bar, have the hose hooked up to here. I can sit down on the little bench and take a handheld shower if I want to do that in the future. So I've got some flexibility there. This is probably my favorite item in the house. These are invisible grab bars. So see those 2 little tiles with the 2 little handles on them? Those tiles are held onto the wall with magnets. I have magnets on the back of the tile and they hang on to that grab bar support. So you pull the tile out, you walk over with the grab bar, you set it on, no bolts, no tools, you slip it on that support, you put it down and you're good to go. 500 pounds of force. You know, you can jump on that thing and it's not going to come off the wall. You want to get rid of it, you flip it up, pull it out, stick your tile back on, and you know, it's so easy. So anytime you're remodeling your bathroom, bathroom, why wouldn't you put in supports like that? I mean, it makes it so easy. Just plan it ahead of time. It costs no money to buy those grab bar supports. You can do it with any tile. I mean, you have to have a tile that's the right size, but it's really pretty simple. Here's another trick. This is the kick space underneath my kitchen cabinets. I've got a 10-inch kick space, and I put drawers in that kick space for seldom used storage like Easter and Christmas stuff you don't get into very often. But if I want to sell my house to a wheelchair user, now I've got 10 inches of space here that I can use to drop those cabinets down. I've got them up at 42. Most wheelchair users like them around 34, so that would be an 8-inch drop, you know. But I can take them down as low as 32. I could take them down to 36, which is a standard cabinet height for the next person that buys my house. You know, you can even make it so that you could do it really easily, moving the cabinets up and down by putting the cabinets on heavy-duty shelf brackets. You can install them that way, and then they're very movable. Mine are mounted permanently to the wall. It would take a small remodel to drop them down, and then you'd have to fix the splash that gets messed up if you drop them down. But not a big deal to do that. I've also made my kitchen adaptable. If I have a guest who comes and wants to help me cook, I have a pull-out shelf underneath the oven so that they have at least one space where they could maybe help me with the prep, do a little work on this salad from a wheelchair. And when you pull things out of the oven, you now have a nice area to set hot things down. The oven door is side hinged, so you don't have to cook over a hot oven or reach over a hot oven door to get things out. It just works better for everybody. All ovens should be side hinged. This is stupid. Why do we design appliances with a bottom hinged oven? It makes no sense. I can also put this wall mounted oven up at a height that's really convenient. Ergonomically, your best strength is at elbow height. So if you want to pick up something heavy, you should plan on leaving it at elbow height to do it. So if you're pulling pans, heavy turkey roasters or whatever out of the oven, you want to kind of look at elbow height and see if you can get something out about that level. We have pull-down upper cabinets. This looks pretty sexy, but it really isn't. It's it takes a lot of work to pull that down. It's really heavy, and it's not my favorite item in the house. They've come out with a new one now that requires fewer pounds of force. I try to keep everything under 5 pounds of force in the interior of the house. So get a fish scale. If you hang a fish scale and pull it on this thing and try to pull that down, I bet it's going to take 20 pounds of force to pull that thing down. The new ones don't take anything like that. Now this next item is one I love. This is a pop-up shelf. See how it pops up from underneath? And it actually pops up to counter height and locks up there. And it gives you like a little extra counter space if you want it, or it gets heavy appliances up from underneath. Heavy appliances are hard to pull up and pick up, like a KitchenAid mixer, you know, getting that up. This works great for something like that. We also have appliance caddies. That means our counter goes back into a cabinet, and we have cabinet doors right across the counter, so you can just slide heavy things out of the appliance caddy. It's one of the things I'm demonstrating. So just to review, does your project support health and longevity? Does it make it fun to stay healthy? Is it visitable and adaptable to future needs? Is it on an accessible entrance, on an accessible route through the common use areas? Do we have usable doors? Do we have light switches, electric outlets, thermostats, and environmental controls in accessible locations? Do you have adaptable kitchens and baths, including the reinforcement for the grab bars? But finally, does your house support a caregiver or an assistant? How many of you have had a family member injured trying to help another family member? Maybe get off the toilet. You know I did. My mom got lower back injuries from trying to help my dad at the end, you know, with toileting and bathing. So you really need to look at what it takes to support a caregiver. I told you they're prying my front door keys out of my cold dead hands. I'm having a caregiver. I'm going to have someone live with me me for life. I'm never going to a nursing home. We did that with my mom. We kept her at home with full-time 24-hour care. It cost us less than $3,000 a month. I know that seems outrageous, but we had a gal who moved in who was a CNA, a certified nursing assistant, who lived with my mom, and anytime she had to leave, she'd call her friend and her friend would come over. She was perfectly happy with $3,000 a month in room and board, you know. So it doesn't have to be outrageously expensive to have a caregiver living with you, but you have to think it out. Where's the caregiver going to stay? You know, do you have an extra bedroom for the caregiver? How's the caregiver going to get you out of bed? How are they going to get you into the shower? How are they going to take care of you? How are they going to take you up and down off the toilet? Some heavy people need 2 people to help them up and down off the toilet, unless you do some things in the design of the house, which I'll show you here shortly. So the first thing we did is we put in a room that's large enough to hold a hospital bed. That's my husband's den. So now I can move a hospital bed in there and the caregiver can care for me in the hospital bed. We also use it as a guest bedroom because we have Murphy beds that come right out of this section. See that little grip up there? You pull that and the Murphy bed comes down, and I have another one hidden in there as well. So we use that as a backup guest bedroom. Now look at this wall back here. Can you see that low wall right there? That is movable. So with this bed up and with the hospital bed in there, a caregiver can roll you onto a shower gurney, which is like a big sort of net or screen that you roll a person out of bed onto the shower gurney. This whole bathroom is gurney accessible. They can roll it right back here. This wall right here rotates out of the way. See, it's moving out of the way. And that opens up this great big shower that's like 8 feet square for a gurney accessible shower. Now, I put the wall in because I wanted to divide it up so it didn't look like a big institutional bathroom, you know, but you can move the wall out of the way. So the caregiver would stand over there with the handheld shower and bathe you on the shower gurney, you know, give you a bath, wipe you off, and then move you back into bed again. That's how that would work. Another way that this bathroom can be used is from a shower wheelchair, and this is the more likely scenario, that we end up not wanting to stand in a bathroom where it's really slick, because that's where all the slip and fall takes place, that's where people get the injuries, that's where all the hard surfaces are, that's where you get hurt. So we'll probably end up sitting in this shower chair. That's actually a toilet seat that you can sit on. So I can wheel that shower chair right over the toilet, go to the bathroom, wheel it right over here if I want to, and use one of these shower heads. So if I just want to use a low shower head, or like this shower head from the shower wheelchair, I could do that. Right now, my husband and I use this as a shower massage. Those shower heads all go at the same time, and they go up and down and massage your body, which is kind of cool. So I can wheel it under that sink. Now that sink looks way too high for a wheelchair user, right? So one of these sections here comes out with 4 screws. Our pipes are a pipe inside a pipe. It just slips down, and it takes, you know, maybe 15 minutes, and I can pull that out and lower the whole thing down if I want to. So I'll go over to one of these shower units, pick the height that I want, wheel in my shower wheelchair right over the toilet. I can take a handheld shower if I want to. If you have a bowel and bladder program, which a lot of people have, I put the handheld shower there so they can clean up after the bowel and bladder program. It's really handy. You see there's a center drain here. It's one of the things I did wrong. I followed ADA and put a 2% slope there, 1 in 50, with 5 shower heads. Water goes all over the place. There's no way that drain's going to work. So then I tried the stupid round, half round, soft thing. You know what I'm talking about? If you try to walk with a shoe over that thing, especially if you have a crepe sole, it basically picks you up and throws you on the ground because it catches your sole and trips you, you know. So then I tried one of those clear edges that you put up that's supposed to be soft and the wheelchair can go over it. That thing gouges a big thing in the bottom of your foot. So then I tried the the floor-length shower curtain with a chain weight that seals it and keeps the water in. Water goes right underneath that. None of this stuff works. I've been teaching people to do stuff wrong for 30 years now, you know. What really would have worked is a trench drain across the front of that shower. But of course, I had the whole thing poured at that point, had the tile in, and it was too late. So I kind of used a combination of all of the above. I have the beaded curtain. I cut out part of the clear strip thing so you could walk through it. I got rid of the half round thing. I have the slope, the 2% slope, and I'm able to keep the water in now. But what a process. Just typical Leibrock behavior. I have to do things like 6 times to make it work. But anyway. So the handheld shower. Now this is something else I want you to remember. If you don't remember anything else, this is memory number 2, okay? Flatten your P-trap or your J-trap on the back wall. Flatten it. Do not have it coming out like you normally do. Just flatten it back there and then use a horizontal pipe to go back to it. It costs no more money. It works like a charm. It clears that whole space for storage underneath, which is a good thing, and it clears the space for a wheelchair user. I used a plastic pipe that doesn't get hot as fast, so that's less likely to burn someone. But in truth, your stomach is going to hit that front of the vanity before your knees are going to hit that pipe, so you're going to be okay with that. So flatten it all the way up. What I did is I put piano hinges on the doors. I took the bottom out of the cabinet, you see, put the floor all the way back in there. When the doors are closed, it looks just like any other cabinet, you know. But you open them up and you can wheel right underneath. I also got a little a rack on rollers, and I have all sorts of soaps and stuff stored there, so I can just pull the rack out whenever I want to. And here's one of the most fun things in the house. This is a track for a ceiling track lift. It looks just like a track for track lighting. Who would know that with 4 screws you can take the plate off the end of the lift and slide a big ceiling track lift on it? But a ceiling track lift, I guarantee, will keep you out of the nursing home for months. Because what puts you in the nursing home? Toileting and bathing. Those are the 2 big issues. So I've got a lift now that will pick me up out of the bathtub. It'll actually move me over onto the toilet. You know, I can sit down on the toilet. The thing even has a poop hole in it, in case you were wondering. And then you can sit right down on the toilet. It'll pick you up, take you over to the bathtub, drop you into a nice deep soaking tub, pick you up, shake you off, and you're moving on down the road again. So you could basically be tethered to the ceiling with this lift. If you want to be, you could run the lift. What did he say?
The dry cleaner. It's like a cleaner, so it just kind of goes on a
right, right. My husband and I could be on this revolving thing, right? Like the clothes at the dry cleaner. Is that what you're saying? Hi, dear. There he goes. But this thing, actually, this is the thing that all the kids want to do. It's like a ride on an amusement park. They come up to our house, they head for the ceiling track lift. You know, really a fun thing to do. It's a $10,000 item. It's horribly expensive. But the average nursing home right now is costing $7,500 a month. Half of all nursing homes cost more than $7,500 a month in this country. Can you believe that? So if you can save a month and a half in a nursing home, you've paid for the lift. Your spouse can help your loved one in and out of the toilet. I mean, on and off the toilet, in and out of the bathtub, not in and out of the toilet. We don't want to drop the loved one in the toilet, okay? The loved one stays out of the toilet. We got that. All right. All right. So anyway, you get the point. So you don't need to buy the lift. Just put the track in and wire it. Not too expensive to do that, and add the lift at a later date. If you don't even want to buy the track, just put the reinforcement in the ceiling for the track and add the track later and everything, you know. So it's easy to do that, but on every project you should be looking at reinforcement in the ceiling and the wiring for the lift. It's not expensive to do that. That's what I did in my bedroom. I didn't put a track in, but I have the reinforcement so it can pick me up out of bed, take me through the door to the bathroom. I even cut a slot up above the door so the lift could go through. take me into the, it'll take me right from bed, right onto the toilet, pick me up, put me in the bathtub, shake me off, and I'm good to go. You know, I think it's actually a really good idea. So something to think about. So I'm going to run through the basics of universal design. On every project, I want you to put A, B, C, D, E, F. Easy to remember. A is accessible route. B is bathroom and kitchen adaptability. C is controls. D is doors, E is electrical, mechanical, acoustical, and F is furniture, fixtures, and finishes. Now I'm going to show you what the priorities are in these, but as you're checking your plans, if you're building a new house, just think A, B, C, D, E, F. I have to use this as a checklist. If you want a copy of this, I've got cards up here, agingbeautifully.org. Grab one of them. My website has the ABCs of Universal Design all over it. Every page there's a link to it. I have it in PDF, so you can easily print it. It's good to go. And on the back of these cards, I have A, B, C, D, E, F with all of the points that you want to remember on the card. So here's A, accessible route. The points are 3-foot clearance. How can you tell if you have a 3-foot clearance? Put your arms like this and walk through your house. See these doors here? These are probably 3-foot wide doors. Watch what happens when I approach it. See there? Elbow height. Look at that. It's almost exactly 3 feet. So you can check out 3 feet, walk through your whole house. Put a turnaround, a 5-foot turnaround in every room. How can you do that? Put your arms out like this, turn around and see what you hit. You know, that's about 5 feet. That's your wingspan. What you're really trying to do is get your wheelchair footrests to turn around. You know, that's what you're really looking for. So it really isn't up here that you want to check it out, but you want to make sure you got your turnaround down low. 4 to 5 foot halls. That sounds like a lot, but if you've got a door swinging out into your hall, you're going to need 5 feet to get around it. So you could replace those doors that swing out into the hall with sliding doors or with automatic doors with something else if you can't get a 5-foot hall. And then try not to exceed a 5% slope anywhere in the house. Don't use a 1 in 12 ramp. If you're using a 1 in 12 ramp, 2/3 of wheelchair users don't have the upper body strength to go up a 1 in 12 ramp. They need 1 in 20. That's 5%. So you want to have your very slight slopes, and better to go ahead and just landscape right up to your front door with no step, no slope, just that's what we've done, and we have no problem with the water coming in. You know, the landscaping drains away from the house and it's just fine. B is bathroom and kitchen adaptability. We've talked about the 3/4 inch plywood. We talked about the 9-inch kick underneath the cabinets. We talked about the 4-foot maximum height, or maybe we didn't. So try to keep most of your storage and most of your controls within this range, 4 feet high and about 18 inches low. That's the easiest range for you to reach things. Now you're not going to be able to do everything. You'll have some upper cabinets, but go ahead and store your lightweight stuff in your upper cabinets, and that way a wheelchair user could take a grabber and get the lightweight stuff down. Do you see what I'm saying? But the heavier stuff, try to keep in that range of 4 feet high to 18 inches low. Wall-mounted cabinets with attached splash. That simply means that the counter has the splash attached to it, and that way it's not glued to the wall, and that makes it easier to adjust up and down at a later date. And the flattened J-trap, we talked about that. C for controls, again, 4 feet high, 18 inches low, usable with a closed fist or a draped hand. You know the C grips you see on cabinet doors, those you can use with a draped hand. And then I want you to put a 4-foot by 30-inch clear floor space in front of each control. That's the size of a wheelchair. So put it in front of your door lever. Put it in front of your light switch. Put it in front of your stove controls. Put it in front of your faucets. Anywhere there's a control, put a 30-inch by 4-foot space. Doesn't have to be parallel. Doesn't have to be perpendicular. Either one will work, but just make sure you can fit it there so they can get into it. D is for doors. Again, the 3-foot width doors, door bottoms instead of the thresholds. We talked about that. A 5-foot deep clear floor space around the doors. If you can fit a 5x5 section in front of every door, you know, just a 5x5 space, you're going to be fine. You can't always do that, but try. If you can do that, that would be good. That shows you the various clear floor space sizes. So again, if you've got 5 feet, you're going to cover all the rest of the sizes. And then if you can't do any of the above, use a sliding or an automatic door. E, electrical, mechanical, acoustical, only 3 things I want you to remember. Try to get 100-foot candles of light on rheostats where visual acuity is required. So any place you're going to read, and you can do that with task lighting. You can do it with a lamp, you know, move a lamp over there. But try to figure it out so that you have 100-foot candles where visual acuity is required. For mechanical, I really love radiant underfloor heat. Remember I told you that the hot water from the solar panels flows under the floor? The reason for that is that it's colder down there. Wheelchair users are sitting close to the floor and it's colder down there. Kids are close to the floor. So if you have the heat coming up from the floor, it's very comfortable. Also, I don't like forced air because of the drafts and the dust blowing around, and you know, there's some advantages to it, but I basically like that radiant heat better. We also have wall-mounted radiant heat in areas where we couldn't get it under the floor, and that works really well too with the oil or the water wall-mounted. Make sure you control your ambient and transmitted noise. We use something called staggered stud construction, which means we have an airspace in the middle of the wall with a double base plate that allows us to keep that noise from being transmitted from our kitchen, say, to our guest bedroom. You know, it's a really good thing to do. To control ambient noise, do you realize that if you carpet your floor, that will absorb 50% of the ambient noise in the space. One wall of drapery will absorb 70% of the ambient noise. So it's not too hard to get rid of the ambient noise. You just have to think about it. And that becomes a bigger problem as you get older because you have trouble hearing. Furniture, fixtures, whoops, did I skip one? No, yeah, no, we got it. And then finally, furniture, fixtures, and finishes. Your 17 to 19-inch seat height, including toilets, 27 inches of clearance. That's how much I have below that pull-out shelf under the oven. It's exactly 27 inches. If it's higher than 27 inches, it becomes a protruding hazard. If it's lower than 27 inches, a wheelchair user can't fit underneath it. So we do exactly 27. And that's true in all your ADA stuff too, just so you know. 4-foot maximum height for most storage, side-hinged appliances like the side-hinged oven, the trench drain so you don't do all the stupid things I did in my shower, support and wiring for bathroom lifts, non-slip and non-glare finishes. We talked about non-slip. I didn't talk about non-glare. There are 2 types of glare that you deal with: veiling reflections and contrast glare. Contrast glare is that dazzle effect you get when you come in from, you're in a dark room and you go outside and you get dazzled, you know, that's contrast glare. You control that, with your window treatments and so forth. But the veiling reflections are that shiny thing that you see on a page when you have to adjust your magazine to read it. You know what I'm talking about? Well, you've seen these hospital floors that are highly polished and they're covered with veiling reflections. And what happens is older people think that veiling reflection is water. So they go like this and they get on one leg and they try to step over it and they're unbalanced and they can fall. That's why we don't use veiling reflections. And I have like a matte finish on all those countertops. Remember those countertops, how dull they were? I have that quartzite that's very dull. You can also control them with your lighting and prevent veiling reflections by multiple sources of light instead of direct sources of light. The worst thing you can do is put a doorway at the end of a hall that glares all the way down the hallway. But if you have carpet or whatever, you're not going to get the glare even with the door. So there are ways to work around it. And then furniture and arms and grab bars well forward. I want all of you to put your feet on the floor, stick your feet straight out, leave them on the floor, and get up. You're not going to get up, right? The reason is to get up. Did somebody get up? Don't do that to me. You're not going to get up unless you put your feet back you lean forward and you push off. That's the easiest way to get up. So that's why you need those arms well forward, and it's why you don't want cross pieces under your chairs, because you can't get your feet back to, to push off. You could put a window seat into assisted living, and you have now created permanent installations, because the people will get in there, sit down in the window seat, they can't get their feet back, there are no arms, and they can't get out. So you have an elderly person permanently installed in the window seat, just so you know. All right. Showers and toilets, we talked about vertical and horizontal grab bars on those. So anyway, that's your checklist, A, B, C, D, E, F. Feel free to email me, cynthia@agingbeautifully.org. If you'd like any of these images, they're all on agingbeautifully.org/ranch. And let me know, I can get you any of the images that you want. I have links to all the products that I've shown you today, so you can find out manufacturers and go to those manufacturers and buy them locally. So that gives you a heads up. And I have an inspirational quotation to send you on your way. I know it's hard to get inspired at this time of night, but we will try. The body may be somewhat declining, but the power of the mind, heart, and spirit are rising. The growth and evolution of the inner life may be the special opportunity of aging. Because of this, we may think of aging as an ascending passage, not a descending state. Monsignor Fahey talks about this. He says it happens in the third age. The first age is from birth to 25 years. During this age, we concentrate on biological development, learning, and survival. The second age, 25 to 60, is where family issues are overrising, productive work, applying the lessons of the first age to social and professional responsibilities. The third age, though, is a less pressured, more reflective period, a time of emotional maturity, intellect, memories, and imagination. It's a period of giving back to society the lessons, experiences, and resources that you've collected. That's what I'm trying to do today. People of this age should be a living bridge between yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Older people should be the glue of society, not its ashes. So go out there, design universally, make a major contribution, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you.